Hey there. Good to be with you again. Welcome to the Bernie Show on STL Sports Central, presented by DraftKings. The crown is yours. I'm Bernie Miklasz, in case you didn't know, and I've been writing and talking about St. Louis area sports since 1985. I do 5 videos and write 5 columns each week here on STL Sports Central. I also appear on the Randy Carricker Show on our site every Friday morning. You can also catch me on KMOX a lot, and also with Cardinal Territory, hosted by Katie Wu, and the Seeing Red podcast with Will Leach that is also on our site. You can find it. All right, let's get into today's topic. It's probably going to trigger some people, but that's not my intention. I'm just trying to do the best I can to be fair, but also to point some things out. So, therefore, as John Mozeliak nears the finish line of his long term as the Cardinals president of baseball operations, I can honestly say this. Chaim Bloom, yes, is inheriting a list of problems from John Mozeliak, but Bloom will also inherit more young and developing talent and promising talent than the Cardinals have had in a long time. And if we're going to blame Mozeliak for anything and everything that's even remotely bad around here, then it's also fair to point out some positives. And it really doesn't require any gymnastics to do so. It's pretty obvious to me. And besides, I can't do gymnastics. I'm not in shape to do gymnastics. But anyway, I've been extremely negative about Mozeliak's prominent role in the team's significant downturn at the major league level, though Mo isn't solely responsible for that. As I've tried, mostly in vain, to tell listeners and watchers and readers for many years, Mozeliak and Chairman Bill DeWitt Jr. are partners. I don't know why people think that Mozeliak pretty much works independently of Bill DeWitt. He doesn't. Bill DeWitt is and has been on every meaningful baseball decision. DeWitt controls the settings of the budgets for drafting and development and the big league payroll. And Bill DeWitt's the one that worked out the contract, the financial part, which took forever. But he negotiated with the Colorado Rockies owner to come up with a way for the Cardinals to pay for it. The Rockies would send money to St. Louis to defray the cost of Arenado's contract. The fact that Arenado turned old too soon has nothing to do with Bill DeWitt or John Mozeliak failing. It was a hell of a trade at the time. Same with Paul Goldschmidt. But what separates me from many of the people who despise Mozeliak, I don't despise him. I just think he lost his fastball. I also know that he did a hell of a lot of great things before he lost that fastball. But that's not my point of speaking to you today. So it's kind of like I feel stupid because I don't want to rehash the past, because we already know the past, okay? We already know it. 1 million times it's been reviewed in St. Louis media and on online forums or whatever. So I try to be fair. I don't think that it's been possible to be balanced in this situation because things have taken such a negative turn at the major league level. And that's just the reality. But I do try to believe fair. And I know that this is an outdated perspective in today's rage culture. Listen to this guy. He's trying to be fair. But, I just refuse to succumb to the Wolfpack mentality. I maintain an independent voice. And whether you agree with me or disagree with me, that's fine. And you can blast me in the comment section. That's fine too. But I felt like I needed to point some things out here. I wouldn't say that the Cardinals are in great shape at the major league level for obvious reasons. The Redbirds ranked number 22 among the 30 teams in winning percentage since the start of the 2023 season. The Cardinals are hardly alone as prominent franchises that have gone through some tough below average phases or just bad phases after the end of an era or the end of a dynasty period or whatever you want to call it. And I think, all due respect, I think that point gets lost here in St. Louis. And that's okay because the Cardinals are so important to sports fans in St. Louis, even though they're down on the franchise right now, which I understand. And I understand that people don't necessarily give a damn about what's happened in other cities, right? I get it. But I also think it is, I always try to throw some perspective in here when I think it's meaningful. So, for example, um, even in Major League Baseball right now, and I told you the Cardinals are 22nd in winning percentage over the last 3 seasons. Well, the 5 teams that ranked 17th through 21st in winning percentage over the last 3 seasons are the Mets, the Red Sox, the Twins, the Reds, and the Giants. A couple of those franchises, 3 of them are spending a ton of money, and others have had some high level success, like the Giants winning 3 World Series under Bruce Bochy. It ain't easy to stay near the top, but at least the Cardinals were able to do that for a very long time before faltering because of their own mistakes and because of the flaws in the farm system and because of the flaws in the roster construction. And the big club, as we know, has 2 major weaknesses as 2025 winds down: starting pitching and offense, with a shortage of power pitching and a shortage of power hitting. This is also true, back to the point I was started to make here 30 seconds ago or whatever. The end of an era ain't supposed to be easy. I've talked about this, and I'm going to talk about it a little more right now. But just look at, for example, what happened in Green Bay after Vince Lombardi retired as coach. It kind of disappeared for a long while, right? In terms of the stage. Look at what happened to the Chicago Bulls at the end of the Michael Jordan era. In the early 1970s, the New York Knicks of Walt Frazier and Willis Reed and Dave DeBusschere, Bill Bradley, those guys, they played in 3 NBA finals in 4 years. 3 in 4 years they got to the finals, and they won 2 NBA championships. That Knicks franchise since then has competed in only 2 NBA finals in the past 40 seasons, have not won an NBA championship. Look at what's happened more recently in New England when Tom Brady and Bill Belichick moved on. In my youth as a sports writer, I covered the Washington Redskins for 2 or 3 years. Got to know Joe Gibbs, got to know what that was like to see how a great football team was put together. And that Washington football team won 3 Super Bowls with Joe Gibbs as the coach, and then they fell apart after he left. And only recently have they started to kind of regain that promise they had under Joe Gibbs, under new ownership and new leadership. We know about this locally. I mean, the greatest show on turf, St. Louis Rams, were incredibly successful for a while. I mean, they were kind of the stars of the league because of that dazzling offense. But that thing cracked apart because of dissension in the building, kind of a war between some in the front office and the coaching. At one point, after the good times were over, the former greatest show on turf Rams set what was then an NFL record for the worst 5-season stretch in NFL history. From 2007 through 2011, the Rams played 80 games and they won 15 and lost 65. The party was over, right? The dynasty that never was a dynasty, but it was a hell of a show for a few years, the greatest show on turf. When that thing went poof, it was football hell here. And I won't even get into what happened after that. The San Francisco 49ers had an NFL dynasty from 1981 through 1994 with Joe Montana, then Steve Young, and a lot of great players, Jerry Rice. They won 5 Super Bowls in 14 seasons. And after that, the music stopped out there in the Bay Area. The Niners went through a decline period marked by 8 straight seasons of failing to make the playoffs. My goodness, the Cardinals have never gone that long after things started to fall apart here. It hasn't been good, but I'm just saying, if the 49ers can go 8 straight seasons in the aftermath of the Bill Walsh, Montana, and Steve Young, Jerry Rice era, 8 straight seasons, no postseason. I look at the NHL dynasties that I grew up with, watching. The Toronto Maple Leafs of the 60s, the Montreal Canadiens of the 70s, the New York Islanders of the early 80s, the Edmonton Oilers of the late 1980s. These were all consistent, powerful, high-magnitude success stories but that success at the highest level has been elusive for those very franchises since their glory days. And I know the Oilers are getting back there. I get that. But I'm talking about sustained success. What happens when you're a dynasty level team and then all of a sudden the dynasty comes to an end? Because they all do. Usually it's followed by some hardship. And in case a lot of these hockey franchises, we're talking about extended hardship, but some fluctuations where they're better for a while too. Now, the Cardinals, I don't have to tell you, are one of the more recent powerhouses to lose their might and their muscle. But unlike some of the franchises I just talked about, the feeling of doom and gloom here has existed for a relatively short time. And that's why the Cardinals are starting to rebuild before this futility stretches on and on and on. Bill DeWitt wants to put a stop to it. And John Mozeliak recruited Chaim Bloom as the top candidate to take over. And after Chaim Bloom made an incredible presentation to Bill DeWitt, it lasted like 3 hours. The Cardinals had their man to guide them into the future. And the Cardinals are, I believe, in good position for the future. I can't say what year they're going to be, a playoff team again or a threat to go all the way. Rebuilds take time. We got to see how this materializes. But I do believe they're in a better position for the future than I would have expected. And it doesn't mean they'll get back to the mountaintop anytime soon, but at least they're getting to work on it instead of continuing to wallow and be mired and be bogged down in mediocrity. This is a huge step forward, but it's just the first step. And when I return for my second segment of Wednesday's Bernie Show, I will explain why the current situation should improve or will improve going forward, with the emphasis on the term going forward. But first, my friends, some exciting news from DraftKings Sportsbook. Missouri, get ready. Or if you prefer, Missouri, get ready. The wait is almost over. DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is coming soon to the Show Me State. We're going to call it the Show Me the Money State. And you can sign up today. New Missouri customers can get $300 in bonus bets when we launch on December 1st. Download now and place a $5 bet when DraftKings Sportsbook goes live the 1st of December. DraftKings Sportsbook brings everything you need to elevate your game day, including live in-game betting, lightning fast payouts, and endless ways to get in on the action, all right from your phone. And you can check it out today. You can sign up today, and then you can get acquainted with the app. And the app's outstanding. You'll get a lot of information that help you make your choices on what teams to select, everything to select, whatever it may be. And when we officially go live in Missouri, you'll be betting with the Sportsbook app, trusted by millions, safe and secure, with fast money withdrawals, and then other things you'll like. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code STL Sports to grab $300 in bonus bets with just a $5 bet when we go live December the 1st. That's code STL Sports in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. Now, if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. You must be 21 or over, physically present in Missouri. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Excludes customers who redeem pre-launch sign-up offer. You can find the terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. Thank you very much. Hey, welcome back. Let's get in a segment. Excuse me. I got the marbles in the mouth today. That happens when I try to talk too fast, or maybe I'm too amped up on coffee. Let's get into segment number 2 of the Bernie Show, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel, which you can do with one click. And while you're at it, hit that like button as well. Really, really appreciate it. We're growing fast, but we want to continue to grow and grow. And the more we grow, the more things we can do, the more things we can add. So you play a major role in this, obviously. As far as the Cardinals, like I mentioned, rebuilds take time, but it starts by developing a much larger supply of young talent. The Cardinals are doing this the right way and the other way that some people want them to do it. They're doing it the right way, in my opinion, instead of trying to appease the single issue folks who all they care about is payroll. You hear me whine about that all the time. They think that the answer to everything is throwing money around, which is ironic because that's kind of what got the Cardinals in this spot in the first place. They didn't spend the money really well, to say the least. Anyway, sustained success begins in the garden, the farm, growing your own talent. Then, as you progress and you get ready to be a real contender instead of a pretend contender, then that's when you spend the money to fill some valuable needs that'll get you back towards the top and hopefully to the top. You get in the postseason tournament, anything's possible. That's why I said possibly get to the top. You get in the playoffs and you're good when you go into the playoffs, then you can go a long way. But that's a point of having your base of homegrown players, which you add with free agents or trade acquisitions that cost you more money. In that context, growing your own, the St. Louis farm system is in better shape. It is absolutely in better shape. And before you dismiss me of being, as being Fred Bird or on Bill DeWitt's payroll or a puppet or whatever from Mozeliak, because you're not allowed to dish out any compliments talking about these people ever. That means that you're being bought off or something. My God. Anyway, the St. Louis farm system is in better shape, much better shape, thanks to the drafts led by Randy Flores, who was astutely put in that role by, John Mozeliak. And you say, well, what do you mean it's in better shape? Okay, you don't have to listen to me. I can relay that information. In August, FanGraphs put the Cardinals farm system all the way up to number 6 in the majors, behind the Guardians, Dodgers, Rays, Brewers, and Tigers. Before the season, FanGraphs had the Cardinals at number 15 in the rankings. Now, they zoomed all the way up to number 6. In this updated farm system rankings published in August, ESPN put the Cardinals at number 9 on the list of 30 teams. Before the season, ESPN had the Cardinals at number 19. They've gone up 19th to 9 over a few months as prospects, continue their development and continue to kind of rise up. As prospect watcher Kiley McDaniel, who's really good, as he wrote at ESPN, and I quote, as Chaim Bloom takes the reins from John Mozeliak as president of baseball operations after this season, the Card system is in the best shape it has been in years. That's not me talking. That's a guy that paid good money and is widely respected for doing this for a living. Kiley McDaniel. Same with my friends at FanGraphs. Same with Keith Law. Same with others of the people at MLB Pipeline. And what McDaniel wrote was true. Led by infielder J.J. Weatherholt and pitcher Liam Doyle, the Cardinals now have more elite talent in their system. And a year ago, lefty pitcher Quinn Matthews was considered an elite prospect. And he's been downgraded a bit because he had a disappointing 2025 season. But he can jump back up again. He's really good. He just has to have more command. So walking too many people this year. It happens. And there are plenty of prospects that are on the rise. And the guy that excites me as far as prospects go, there's a couple, but I'm talking about one that's closer to the major leagues. Joshua Báez, an outfielder they drafted out of high school, like in the second round or like in the sandwich round between the first and second. Joshua Báez is a power hitting outfielder who had big time growing pains jumping from high school into professional baseball. But all of a sudden, the light's on. He's figured it out. He's a power hitting outfielder who's got outstanding plate discipline. He walks a lot. He doesn't strike out much. He's got a .500 slugging percentage and 54 stolen bases in the 2025 season that started at high A, and then he made the promotion up to double A. I don't know. I'm thinking a guy that walks just about as much as he strikes out, who slugs .500 and who's stolen more than 50 bags. I think that sounds pretty exciting. But then again, I'm Fred Bird. Okay. There are catchers Leonardo Bernal and Rainiel Rodriguez, and Rodriguez is only 18 years old. He's got all the scouts, of other teams who, look at young talent because that's our job, because if teams are going to try to make a trade for young talent and get prospects, all these teams need to have a handle, need to have a read on these prospects, so they scout them. Rodriguez is only 18 years old, and the scouts are drooling over him. He's got prodigious power, advanced plate discipline, great instincts and feel for the game. And he's really, really an exciting guy on the rise. The Cardinal prospects include all sorts of pitchers, too many to name here. And it also includes some dudes like Teco Roby, who are recovering from elbow surgery, which is nothing unusual for young power pitchers. Unfortunately, that is part of the game. Mozeliak got Roby and infielder Thomas Sajaci in the trade that sent pending free agent Jordan Montgomery to Texas at the 2023 deadline. I like that trade. I don't know about you all, but I like that trade a lot. And Roby's not even here yet. He will be probably in he's probably going to have to miss most of next season, and then it'll be go time as he rehabs from Tommy John. Independent evaluators at FanGraphs say the Cardinals have more legitimate left-handed pitching prospects, left-handed pitching talent in their system than most organizations. And I've even seen the opinion expressed that they have the most left-handed pitching prospect talent of any team in the majors. Again, independent evaluators say that. The Cardinals, like according to Keith Law, my friend at The Athletic, the Cardinals also seem to have a lot of below-the-radar types who aren't getting people going nuts just yet, but they're probably better than is largely assumed. Like Keith Law wrote this a few months ago, quote, the Cardinals have a lot of untapped potential in their system beyond their top five. The talent here probably outstrips the production you see on the stat sheets. That's from Keith Law. Now, for a rebuilding organization, one in transition, it is essential to have a farm system that has been replenished and restocked with talent. And again, you don't have to take my word for it. Listen to the experts who do this for a living. They're big on the Cardinals farm system these days. And John Mozeliak, yeah, he deserves credit for that because he's been the guy in charge, and he's also was the one who hired Randy Flores. And the things where they went wrong, which is sort of letting the apparatus of the farm system fall apart, well, they brought in Chaim Bloom to do just that, and his associates that he hired. They're busy upgrading the level of instruction, coaching, technology, facilities that are going to enhance the development of the prospect crop that's on the way. Mozeliak, for his part, has provided the new regime with a lot of young talent to work with. You can deny it, but it's true. Coming next in segment number 3 of the Bernie Show, a review of some Cardinals major league players that have future value one way or another. And I'll explain. But first, it's time for me to give my fellow men out there a little pep talk about Blue Chew. Blue Chew can help raise your game for those intimate, pleasurable, and special times with your partner. To put it short, I got 2 ways to put it short. Big Blue can power you up, and it's as easy as just chew it and do it. And I know what Blue Chew has done for me. I'm of Social Security age, and I want you to discover what Blue Chew can do for you. So if you need a stronger bat, Blue Chew's in the equipment room. Go get it. And then go get something done in the bedroom or any room. Blue Chew is the original brand offering chewable tablets for enhanced performance. You will get your first month of Blue Chew free. You're just a few clicks away. It's really easy. Sign up at bluechew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you are approved, you'll receive your prescription at your doorstep in a few days. It's all done online, simple and private. No waiting in lines, no awkward conversations. You just try your first month of Blue Chew free. Just use the promo code Bernie, and all you got to do is pay $5 for shipping. That's promo code Bernie to get your first month free and to power up again, and the only cost to you is the $5 shipping fee. Visit bluechew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the Bernie Show here on STL Sports Central. All right. I appreciate you for giving me the time to speak on behalf of our sponsors. Believe it or not, we are running a business here, right? I would like to get paid, right? So, but I'm a big fan of DraftKings, and I've directly benefited from Blue Chew in other ways that have nothing to do with the sponsorship. All right, here's today's third segment of the Bernie Show. The 2025 Cardinals don't have enough talent. We all know that. Specifically, they don't have enough premium talent. We all know that. But that's not what we're talking about today, because that is well established, right? But when you're entering a rebuild, and they're already in a rebuild, although they were trying to call it something else, you can find value that can fit into a real rebuild agenda, a rebuild plan. The Cardinals have value for that specific purpose, and that's important. We can find some young talent can either stay with the Cardinals and do a good job, but eventually have better talent around them, or we can find some young talent that can be used as trade pieces to collect assets for the future, which is also a part of rebuilding, as you know. And this is the roster put together by the Mozeliak regime. Again, not good enough to make the playoffs, but we got to look to the future. And there's a lot on this roster that can be used to enhance the future. So if you couldn't get it done at present time, you can get it done and give yourself a better chance to be a lot better in the future by using what you have on the roster. Mason Wynn, age 23. He'll be a long-term fixture at shortstop, and I expect the Cardinals will give him a long-term contract extension. In Ivan Herrera, the Cardinals have one of the best young hitters in the majors. And, okay, if some of you are saying, really? Are you serious? Really? Yeah, I'm serious. This season, among hitters that are 25 or younger that have at least 400 plate appearances, Herrera ranks fourth with a weighted runs created plus. That's a fancier OPS plus. His WRC plus is 35% above the league average offensively. The only dudes in the major leagues, 25 or younger, that have performed better than Herrera this season are Nick Kurtz of the A's, and then the two Diamondbacks, Geraldo Perdomo, and if I'm saying that right, I apologize if I'm not, and Corbin Carroll. You have Victor Scott, who plays exceptional defense in center field. He's got the capability to steal 50, 60, 70 bases when he develops as a hitter, and he is still developing as a hitter. And he's a lot better, not good enough yet, but he's a lot better than he was last year. Again, this is all about investing in him for the future. At the trade deadline, Mozeliak's Cardinals received a lot of interest in left-handed hitters. I've checked this out with all my sources. Said, oh, yeah, the phone was just ringing and ringing and ringing. Emails were pouring in. Brendan Donovan, Lars Nootbaar, Alec Burleson. Mozeliak held on to them, which I actually think was smart, because he wanted Chaim Bloom to have those players available for trades where you can get a better return by waiting until the offseason. Everybody's got more time to try to make deals. The multiple position Donovan will draw a ton of interest if the Cardinals make him available, which I believe is probable. Donovan is a Gold Glove winner and an all-star who can play 4 or 5 positions. If you want him to be a high OPB guy, he can do that. If you want him to blend some power in, he can do that. Nootbaar is the kind of StatCast star that front offices like so much. I'm disappointed in Nootbaar, but I don't make trades. And there's a lot of front office people around the majors who just slobber over StatCast stuff, and Nootbaar is kind of a star of StatCast. So he will have value and he will attract interest. Teams are attracted to Alec Burleson's superb ball to bat skills. I think we're going to see more emphasis put on contact hitters going forward with all these pitchers coming up that are already there, but more on the way to throw 100. You got to have people that can make contact and put the ball in play and get something done. Listen, I ain't going to sit here and try to tell you that, oh, Nolan and Gorman and Jordan Walker have bright futures. No, can't say that. I like a lot of what Gorman did this year, but then he relapsed here late in the season. And I also know, and I won't bore you with the details, but if you look at left-handed power hitters age 25 or younger, Gorman would actually surprise you where he ranks among them in terms of slugging percentage and home runs for his career. But, yeah, he still has work to do. My point isn't to say they should keep him or trade him or keep Walker or trade Walker. That's not my purpose here. I will say that there would be abundant interest in both of those guys if the Cardinals decide to pull the plug. The Cardinals have two young starting pitchers that have shown promise, Matthew Liberatore and Michael McGreevy. They got to build on it in 2026. The Cardinals have a strong bullpen that's been fortified by players, relievers acquired by John Mozeliak or drafted by the John Mozeliak operation. I remember when John Mozeliak traded Paul DeJong to Toronto for Matt Swanson, who was a hard-throwing reliever in high A baseball in the Toronto system. I remember how that trade was mocked and ridiculed, and they were all having a party, seeing who could be the biggest fake tough guy on social media. All the Vipers were all the Vipers were just going nuts, like just trashing Mo for this trade. I kind of like Matt Swanson in getting him in exchange for a used up Paul DeJong, who Toronto only used for like 40 at bats or something. That's just me. I think that was a good trade. Anyway, Mozeliak going back a ways, but we're talking about today's bullpen and the bullpen moving forward. Mo made a really underrated trade when he dealt Edmundo Sosa to the Phillies for Jojo Romero. That's worked out well for the Cardinals. Mozeliak signed Riley O'Brien, who in the past has had some control issues, but also, some breakdowns. And he had the reputation of he's got to learn how to pitch with discomfort and all that stuff. Well, he's made another impression this season. He's been outstanding. And if I had to venture a guess now, I would say O'Brien would go into spring training as the team's closer, or Swanson perhaps. Kyle Leahy was a Mozeliak Flores draft pick, drafted really late in that draft. I forget what year it was. He's emerged as one of the busiest and best relievers in the National League this season. And he's probably going to get a look at earning a job in the starting rotation in spring training. The point is, because of the talent that has been brought in by Mozeliak's operation, Chaim Bloom will have more options and more to work with when he's trying to make trades that will give the Cardinals more assets, futures that fit into the rebuild. Don't forget, Mozeliak flipped imminent free agent Ryan Helsley to the Mets for 3 prospects. And oh, by the way, the Cardinals have already won that trade because Helsley went there and just blew up. And now he's going into free agency. In exchange for Helsley, the Cardinals got 2 hard-throwing pitchers. And the third guy was the lead guy in the trade. He's a power hitter, infielder, outfielder, to be determined, named Jesus Báez. That'll be pretty funny in a couple 3 years. Cardinals will have two dudes named Báez in the lineup. I like it. But anyway, Báez, after the trade, got off to a bad start at High A Peoria. He's 20 years old. He's settling into a whole new environment, new place, new team, new teammates, new coaches, new manager. He's only 20 years old. He's got a lot of talent. And in his last 15 games, you're seeing why the Cardinals wanted him. In his last 15 games, he's got 4 homers, 3 doubles, a .500 slugging percentage, and 14 runs batted in. The dude has got talent. Mozeliak acquired 2 power arms prospects in the trade that sent reliever Phil Maton to Texas. The one to watch is the lefty named Mason Molina. Molina is a good name in St. Louis, right? The young lefty Mason Molina, age 21. So far at the High A affiliate in Peoria, he's got a 30% strikeout rate and a 2.08 ERA. Walks too many. That's what he's got to work on. But my gosh, I probably could not count the number of minor league relievers everywhere who walk too many people. When you throw that hard, you got to find a way to kind of rein in that power, right? Get it in the strike zone more often. Now, listen, I could have used more time today to blast Mozeliak again. That seems to be a popular choice for my videos. But as Mozeliak is about to hand the baton to Bloom, I sincerely believe it was important to put some emphasis, maybe raise some awareness on the fact that the Cardinals do have an increasing supply of intriguing young talent in the Cardinal system, major league and minor league, who can be of value for the future, either as becoming Cardinals or staying with the Cardinals and building around them, or as trade pieces that can be moved for more future assets that will speed along the rebuild. And I've spent plenty of time yapping about Mozeliak's mistakes for the last 3-4 years. But I'm more interested in the future now. I really mean this. I'm much more interested in the future now because we already know what's happened in the past. We know who screwed up and all that. So instead of me constantly obsessing over what has already happened and reciting the history of mistakes made for the, about the 5 millionth time, I just wanted to point out something because I think it matters. Chaim Bloom is going to have a lot more to work with, more than he anticipated as he moves into the office as president of baseball operations. Then it's up to him. Thank you all for watching. Please subscribe, hit the like button, leave your comments. You can fire away. You can be nice. You can be kind. You can be mean. It's all right. But please support our sponsors. A special thanks to DraftKings for presenting the Bernie Show here on STL Sports Central. Have a great day.